All right, hey guys, what's going on? Hey, Cleveland back here again with the Oklahoma Senate, and you're joining us for another episode of Budget Breakdown. Of course, just like every week with our Appropriations Chairman here in the Senate, Senator Roger Thompson. Senator, thank you so much again for letting us be here and talking about budget yet again.
Hey, thanks for dropping by again. Even though we're not in session, we continue to work year-round on budget and budget numbers. Excited about what we're going to talk about today, higher education. Just finished having breakfast with the Chancellor. And so we're talking about budget numbers and seeing how that higher ed is responding to those numbers.
Gotcha. So it's been a few weeks, guys, since we did our last episode. But if you remember back, the last episode we started a new series where we're actually looking a little bit deeper into the new investments into our state agencies. So last week we talked about common education, some new investments that have been made in common education. This week we're going to continue the education topic and actually break down higher ed and career tech, like you mentioned. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Senator, and let you kind of tell us a little bit about the new investments that are being made in these agencies.
Oh, very, very good. Good to be with you. Well, as we mentioned, we're going to start with higher ed. And one of the first things that we did in higher ed this year is that we gave a 3.5% pay raise. Right. And it's about a little over $18 million additional to higher ed. The reason we did that, a couple of years ago, we gave the teachers in K through 12 a raise. Mm-hmm. And so if you get into some of your universities and colleges, like in my district in Connors and in Okmulgee, your high school teachers were actually making more money than some of the professors were making. Okay. And so we want to keep quality individuals still inside of the universities and college system. Right. And so we gave a 3.5% across the board. The other thing that we funded this year was concurrent enrollment. Concurrent enrollment allows a student who's a junior or a senior in high school to go ahead and enroll in college courses. And so this fully funds concurrent enrollment.
Wow, okay.
And so if you got a child, again, junior or senior, and they're enrolled, that's saving you, the parents, money because now you're not having to pay for those college courses.
That's right.
And we've actually had some seniors who will graduate high school who will enter college as sophomores. They've actually completed their freshman year at concurrent enrollment expenses. Just think about the money that saved those parents. But also it gives them a force to say, hey, I want to work harder. I want to do better than I've been doing.
That's right.
And so we believe if we really want to create a better workforce, concurrent enrollment is the place to go.
I was always really jealous of those other students too because they'd already gotten all those courses done that you take during your freshman year. They'd already done all those, and I still had to go through those. So
absolutely.
Side note there, but yeah, that's a really cool program set up there for students.
It's a great program, and I'm so thankful that the legislature saw fit this year to give the $3.3 million into higher ed.
Love that.
Now, the Section 13 offset money, we gave $7 million.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about Section 13 deals with building maintenance, and this is constitutional. Okay. But during the Chancellor's time, whenever that he was Speaker of the House, he came up with Section 13 offset. And the offset is for those who did not qualify under the Section 13 money for their building, upkeep, building and grounds. Mm-hmm. And so he began the program of the offset money. So this is one of the first years since I've been here in 5 years, we've had any money to give to the offset.
Wow.
And so if we're able to give to maintaining the buildings, maintaining the physical structures, that keeps the price of tuition down.
Right.
And also with the concurrent enrollment, keeping tuition down. And so this is major for our facilities. And so we were able to do that this last year, which gave us a total investment of state dollars. Right. Not all dollars, but just state dollars of over $802 million that we put into higher ed this last year, which is about a 3.27% increase.
And this is the new investments.
Yes, brand new investments.
That is amazing. That is awesome.
Right.
And all you, like you said, all these things working towards really solving a bunch of different things, but like you mentioned, driving down that tuition cost is a huge deal for students and for families that are sending kids to college, things like that. So I love that, absolutely. The next thing you got here is career tech.
Career tech, absolutely. And whenever we begin to talk about whether it's going to be tuition dollars or whether it's going to be career tech dollars, at the very end of that, or dollars spent by the state on either one of these, at the very end of that, we want to make sure that all students are making dollars in the state of Oklahoma.
There you go, absolutely.
And so both higher ed and career tech add to that. But in career tech, they have the ability to turn on a dime. And so if I come into the state and I've got a great idea for a company and I need individuals trained, whether they be welders, whether they be technicians, whatever it's going to be,
right.
I can go to CareerTech and immediately, if they have the funding, they can develop a program that works with my business.
Great.
And so we added this year $12 million to their operations. And we're excited about that. We added $5.2 million to the expanding of programs. Now, that's going to go in two different areas. One, as I've just explained, but it will also go into the area of adding more teaching classes back into the Department of Corrections.
Ooh, okay.
And so we want to make sure that 91% of those people who are released from corrections, they have a job,
right.
that they're properly trained in that job. Well, if they expand these programs, put them back into DLC, that's going to make these individuals who are released
right.
as taxpayers, not tax takers.
Love that.
And we're interested in that.
Love
the
that.
other area is that those in Common Ed, we also have those teachers in CareerTech, and so therefore they receive the pay raise, which is about $1.1 million. Gave us a total investment of $142.9, almost $143 million, and that's an increase in CareerTech of 14.97%.
Love that. Something to mention also that gets overlooked a lot of times, but our CareerTech program here in Oklahoma is really looked at by the rest of the country as really an organization that does a really great job of training and preparing individuals for the job force. So can you kind of speak to that and kind of speak to their success?
You know, I was in Tennessee a couple of years ago, and they brought up the fact that Oklahoma has a premier CareerTech program.
Great.
It is autonomous from your two-year colleges. It's autonomous from your higher ed. It works in a very, I don't want to say isolated, but in a specific area
right.
that are actually training individuals for jobs in Oklahoma and the surrounding areas. And we're excited about being able to do that. Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that we're funding them, that they can continue to do that. Well, that's doctors
yes.
and nurses. If
yes.
you look at, we have a nurses shortage, we have CareerTech addresses that,
yep.
and they work with it. We get back into welders,
yep.
plumbers, electricians, heat and air. All of them go through CareerTech
and like you said, those,
good money.
Those programs are just going to continue to expand this year because of these new investments that are going into it.
And they also deal with adults, not just those that are in
yes.
school,
yes.
but those who said, I'm ready for a career change.
Yes.
So they're involved, and again, they're very positive of making a great educational impact, but also a fiscal impact in the state of Oklahoma.
That's awesome.
They do a great job.
I love that, absolutely. So these are the two, I guess we talked about common education last week. These are
yes.
our two other
yes.
ones of education surrounding that we're going to be talking about. Higher Ed and CareerTech,
right.
both huge new investments going into these two organizations. Right.
Exactly. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of this episode, I had breakfast this morning with the chancellor. Mm-hmm. And so I'm saying, how are we doing on this money? I'll be getting with CareerTech and the first part of August.
Right.
Okay. Where's the money being spent?
Great.
And it's not just that the legislature appropriates this.
Right.
But part of our job in the appropriations process is to follow up and to make sure it's being spent where we want it to be spent.
Okay, so you kind of led me into something there I want to ask you about.
Okay.
You just got named the co-chair of our Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency,
yes.
LOFT,
yes.
which is a new office that's being created, and you're the co-chair of the actual oversight committee.
Yes.
And the first meeting's coming up. Can you kind of that's going to be one of the main jobs of LOFT, right? Is monitoring.
Absolutely. You know, whenever that we begin to look at LOFT, and I want to break it down just very quickly.
Right.
And, the L for legislature.
Right.
And that is, if we look at OMES, that is an executive branch operation.
Right.
And the Office of Management and Enterprise Services.
Yes.
But whenever that we look at the legislature, we need an office that will dig deep into numbers, that will report directly to us.
Right.
And so we'll know what's going on. And it will be an actual office. And so we're going to be able to hire a director and a forensic economist,
right.
and individuals who will be working year-round, 12 months a year, working on budgets.
Love that.
And they're going to be focused on finance and fiscal responsibility. And the reason for that is we want to know even policy bills sometimes will have a fiscal impact.
Absolutely.
And so we will not only do fiscal bills in that study, but we'll look at some policy bills and see what impact they have, not only this year, but for 3 to 5 years out. And then mainly, we want to know, and the people need to know where their dollars are being spent, the transparency that's going to be involved in it. And so our first meeting will be coming up on July the 30th, and it's a 14-member committee. 7 out of the Senate, 7 out of the House.
Great.
It's a bipartisan committee.
Love that. Absolutely.
And so we're working hard together, and we'll be laying down the foundation of maybe the qualifications for a director, making recommendations back to the speaker and the pro tem of who we'd like to see as director of that agency, and then begin to formulate that, and hopefully we can have some things done before the end of the year.
Love that. Absolutely. Thank you so much for walking us through that. It's something that was very much talked about this session. I love seeing it now to start to take shape, and actually the fiscal transparency part of it is going to be huge for the Oklahoma Legislature. So, well, hey, thank you so much for walking us through that, and for specifically walking us through the new investments in higher ed and career tech. And well, we covered a lot of ground today. But really do appreciate you taking the time just to keep us updated on the budget. We know you're extremely busy, even during the interim, working through the budget, even for next year. So thank you very much again. And guys, thank you so much. If you do have any other questions on this topic or any other things, just like people had asked us some questions on that DOC employee raises, feel free to reach out to us, comment down below this video with questions, and we'll be sure to address it in one of our future videos. So until then, Senator, anything else?
That's good. Thanks for dropping by.
Absolutely. You get on the road here. We'll let you go. But guys, thank you again. And sorry about the construction noise. I'm not sure if you can hear that on the camera or not. But we'll see you soon with another budget breakdown. Bye, guys.